Good morning, grade 9. Today our lesson is from vocabulary. It is practice number 25. Okay, so we are having connotations and denotations. We are now dealing with three words having a positive, neutral, and negative connotations, while having the same kind of, or I can say the same denotation or the dictionary meaning. So we are having three words. Okay, so first of all, let's see what the words are, what do they mean, and then we will fill in the blanks respectively. So in the first one, we are having, I already explained you many times about connotations and denotations. So there is no further explanation needed over here. So let's begin. But just to remind you of connotations, they are the underline or the secondary meaning of a word. However, denotations are the meanings or the definitions that you can find of a word into a dictionary. Well, what do we mean by connotations? These are the expressions or feelings attached or associated with that particular word. Okay, so like in what kind of context do we use what kind of word? It has some negativity, maybe it has some positivity, or maybe it's just a neutral word. So let's see how can we see the words. How do we understand them, differentiate between their connotations? Let's start the first one, which is candid. Okay, so when we talk about candid, it actually means a person. We are mainly talking about the kind of opinion. Okay, so just before I go to the candid itself, let's see words that connote ways of speaking one's opinion. So there are three ways you can speak your opinion. Okay, or you can say not three ways, but there are three words that are used to denote the same meaning, which is ways of speaking one's opinion. However, their connotations are different. First word is candid, second is tactless, and the third is complimentary. Now let's talk about candid. A candid is an open person, or an open way of speaking your opinion, or an honest way. For example, choose the meaning closest to that of the bold-faced word, and here is written candid. Now, there are two sentences that actually convey its meaning. It is a kind of, you can say it is a kind of uh, not really neutral, but kind of neutral. Okay? So let's see. I'll give you my candid opinion, like I'll give you my honest opinion, but you may not like what you hear. So a candid person or gives an opinion, his opinion may or may not offend someone. Okay, it depends. His opinion may offend somebody or may not offend somebody, because some people would like to listen to the truth and some people won't. Some people are oversensitive and they don't like hearing something bad or something honest or something true. However, some people don't care about such things. So here is the difference, okay, between candid and I'm sorry, not the difference. So here is the meaning or the connotation of the word candid. It means someone who speaks very honestly, friendly, but he speaks truly, so it may hurt somebody. My heart always sinks when Robbie invites me to his house for dinner. He is a wonderful person, but to be candid, like to be honest, he's a terrible cook. So here you see this person is explaining both sides of Robbie, okay? Like he likes Robbie and he says he's a wonderful person, but he's a terrible cook. So here he is showing his unbiased opinion. So a candid opinion is an unbiased opinion, true opinion, whether it's good or bad. Now, the next word is tactless. A tactless opinion is an opinion which always is offending it sounds always offending to other. And one more thing, it is similar to an insult. Okay, so let's understand with the picture. If someone says an chubby person fat, so you're a fat, so this way he is not just giving a true opinion. This is not a true opinion, this is actually like an insult. So a tactless person is a person who always offends other people with his opinion or negative remarks. So that's why we will consider tactless as a negative word. The next word is complimentary. Now, a complimentary person, on the other hand, is totally positive, and it is a word that is opposite of tactless. A complimentary person is always complimenting others or giving good remarks to others. Okay, so he's giving good opinions about others whenever asked. So, hey, mister, like, look at this. You look good. Nice shirt. It's a complimentary opinion. So, all of these words are opinions, whether it's tactless, whether it's candid, or if it is complimentary. But their connotations are different because we cannot call a person who gives opinion complimentary all the time, because maybe he's offending somebody. If he's offending, it's negative connotation, it's tactless. It's represented by tactless, and similarly candid and complimentary. Now let's start solving it. Number one is Michelle is Mitchell is dash and sometimes offends sensitive people. Now it is sometimes. So if he sometimes offends sensitive people, so from sensitive and sometimes we understand that she is not really like that, but she talks true. So some sensitive people may dislike her opinion because it's true and honest. So it would be candid. Natalie is always dash when asked her opinion about something. So Natalie is always, you can say she is always, Natalie is always complimentary, you can say. Yeah. But for C, we have tactless, so we can use tactless in our own sentence. For example, he lost many friends because of his tactless behavior. He lost many friends because of his tactless behavior. Okay. Now let's move on to the next word, which is consistent, chronic, and habitual. Now, when we talk about consistent, chronic, and habitual, all these three words have the same meaning, which is the repeated behavior. So when we talk about a repeated behavior of someone, it means that if someone does something repeatedly, or if someone's behavior is repeating, it means that this is either a consistent behavior, he's doing it consistently, chronically, or habitually. So let's see each word. Let's talk about each word individually. Let's begin with chronic. Okay, now if I put chronic in this way, that an acute pain is the one that is intense but isn't, but it is also for short duration. And chronic pain is continual and repetitive. So a chronic we actually use to refer we actually use chronic to refer to a disease or a bad habit that is continual, and it is unpleasant. Okay, you don't want it, but it is chronic. It is usually used to denote or refer to a disease or a bad habit. So a chronic disease is a disease that is long lasting, that does not that comes repeatedly to you. Okay, it is Like someone has it for a long time and it's repeating, like it keeps coming back over and over. So that kind of thing is chronic in the sense of repeating. Let's talk about consistent. A consistent is a person who does everything on time in the same manner. Okay, who does everything repeatedly, and he is punctual of time. He is very abiding by the rules. He's abiding by the time. He he does everything. He likes to check everything, and that's consistent. Consistent is a punctual person. Okay, so if you every day come on time to school, arrive on time at school, it means you are a consistent person. If you're paying your bills on time, you're a consistent person. If you're doing your homework on time repeatedly, and it continues, okay, and it continues, because we are talking a repeated behavior. So if your behavior is continuing in this way, that you are very punctual, you do every task on time, and this is somehow making you successful, it is a sign of success, then you are consistent. What about habitual? Okay, now what about habitual? A habitual is a habitual behavior is when you do something um, out of your habit repeatedly. Okay, for example, you wake up, a baby wakes up at 6 o'clock. Okay, for example, a mother wakes up her baby at 6 o'clock, and one day she didn't, so he will wake up habitually, like because he has been doing it every day, it has become his habit to wake up at that time, so he will habitually wake up by himself. So habitual things are, or habitual behavior, or behavior that you do repeatedly, actions that you do repeatedly out of your habit, because they have become your habit. Okay, it's not about punctuality, it's not about other things, it's just that it has become your habit. For example, your habit of washing your teeth every day, your habit of sleeping at 9 o'clock early every day, your habit of having tea at night. So these are all habits, habitual, that are repeated. So Nathan has a dash cough, so his mother takes him to the doctor frequently. Now, the mother takes him to the doctor frequently means quite often. So it means this cough is kind of not habitual and not consistent, it is chronic. Because when we talk about a disease or a bad habit, we use chronic, because chronic is taken into negative sense. Habitual is taken into neutral, and consistent in positive. Okay, so because it is a cough, it's a disease and it's coming over and over, it's a repeating disease, so we call it a chronic cough. Tom is dash about paying bills on time and has a great credit rating. So because he's having a great credit ratings, he always gets 5 star on it, because he sounds really successful or achieving when it comes to paying bills and doing his task on time. So we would use the positive word, which is consistent. He looks punctual. The third word is habitual. We can use it in our own sentence in this way: she took her habitual place at the table. Habitual is the place that she always takes at the table out of her habit, so she took it habitually. Next is number 3, words that connote a taste for style: old-fashioned, outdated, and antique. Okay, so we have old-fashioned, outdated, antique. All of these 3 words refer to the same idea, which is a taste for style. Okay, but they have different connotations as well. Now let's talk about old-fashioned. When we talk about old-fashioned, it means it is a style that is now no more admired by many people. Okay, or is no longer used by many people. Now it cannot be only about clothing. It could be clothes, it could be ideas, it could be customs, it could be values of the past, okay, which are no longer admired by people. It doesn't mean that it cannot be adopted. People still have some old ideas, they have old customs. We also have. People still wear old fashioned clothing, have old fashioned values. But uh, nowadays, they are less admired by the modern generation. So, this is the meaning of old fashioned when there are values, ideas, style, clothing, and you can say customs that are belonging to the past. But in outdated, let's talk about outdated. An outdated thing or anything that is outdated means it is no longer in use. Okay, it is no longer in use. It's not about the style, it's not about ideas. It means any equipment, anything, any technology can be outdated if it is not in use anymore by anyone. Okay, it's not about admiration to it for it, sorry. It's not about admiration for it. It is just that it is no longer in use. It is replaced by something modern and more effective. So, for example, look at this picture. All these things that you can see in the picture, all these items are no longer in use. We had earlier these kind of cameras. We had floppy disk memories. We had cordless huge phones. We had typewriters. We had cassettes, and these are floppy disks and CDs. CDs are still in use. Sorry, this is not. This is an old kind of computer that you can see here. So and you can see the TV here. So these are an old kind of uh, music player. So these are all outdated items. These are all outdated things. These are no longer in use or replaced with the new technology or the new versions of them. Or I can give you one more picture to make you understand. There is a typewriter on one hand, and then there is a laptop on the other. In the same picture, they have merged them, so you can see how one technology is replaced by the other. So outdated is something that is no longer in use at all. Then we have antique. Now, antique things are not those that are not just not in use, but they gain some value because of their quality of being very aged. Antique, they become so unique that they become valuable instead of being cheap. Okay, so if something is antique, it means it is a beautiful thing from the past that is now unique, and it is beautiful in its own way, and it's unique in its own way, and a lot of people buy them at very high prices, or you can say that are so expensive just to earn just to you can say decorate their houses, so there are people who buy antiques to decorate, and they like it. They like buying antiques. They like collecting antiques, or to adorn their houses, they adorn their rooms. So they can. There is a difference between antique, outdated, and old-fashioned. Now here, antique is positive, okay, because we do not uh, use antique to refer to something negative. Antique is a positive word. Something antique is beautiful. Something antique is unique, okay, and something antique is valuable. Outdated is considered negative because it is no longer in use. Something outdated looks like almost expired. And old fashioned is neutral. Some people still like old fashioned things, ideas, custom values, and style, and some people don't. So it is neutral. Let's start. Each year we clean the closets and donate clothing. So because we donate dash kind of clothing, if they are still being donated or given to other people, it means they're still in use, but they are like every year we are kind of updating our closet, so we are giving away old-fashioned clothing. So it can be an old-fashioned clothing because each year we want to donate, right? It's not that we are throwing them away. We donate old-fashioned clothing and replace them. So because we are doing it each year, it means we are just updating our closets, okay, with new and modern clothing. So we donate all the old-fashioned clothing. Number B is grandmother has a wonderful flair for everything. Now here flair means interest for everything dash in her house. Now because she has a good taste for everything dash, it is she is keeping in her house, and it cannot be an outdated thing. It is antique because here it's showing a wonderful flair, a wonderful taste for something. So it would be antique because having outdated, if I keep typewriters and other outdated things in my house, it is not something wonderful, or it is not a nice interest or collection. So it is antique. Now flair also means like not exactly interest. It can be said as a collection. Next is typewriters became outdated long ago at workplaces. So this is how we use outdated in a sentence in a context that typewriters became outdated long ago at workplaces and were replaced by, you can even extend the sentence by yourself, and they were replaced by laptops or computers. Number four is having three words: request, plead, and demand. Now, all the three words have the same denotation or the dictionary meaning, which are degrees for asking, degrees of asking for. Now, when we talk about request, the three words, all three words, they have the same meaning: to ask for something. Or when we talk about request alone, we see that it means to ask for a permission mainly. Okay, for example, if a teacher is teaching in a class and you are hungry, you are thirsty, you can simply ask for a permission. You are requesting her for something. For example, may I get a drink of water? So here this boy is asking for the permission for to his teacher. Okay, so this he is making a request here. He is requesting. Requesting is taken in a neutral manner. So when we talk about request, it is just neutral. You ask politely or formally to somebody. It's considered neutral. But when we talk about plead, sorry. So when we talk about plead, we mean someone is asking for something in a very emotional way. Okay, it means to ask to do something in an intensely emotional way, as if you are just crying for it, you're begging for it. Okay, so it is considered negative because it is almost it is considered very very positive because it is almost like crying for something, begging for something in a very emotional way. That's plead. Okay, and people, a lot of people, we also use it in a religious context that someone is requesting. You don't request some. If someone is asking God or praying intensely to God, he is asking God with intense emotions. He's pleading God. Okay, so you plead Allah for something and you request people for something to allow you to do something, to ask for permission politely. But plead is to ask for something in a very emotional, intensely emotional way or manner. For example, this man is pleading this woman. Okay, he is not just requesting; he is pleading by joining his hands. And look at his expressions. He is begging for something. So also some kids can be pleading, like they can do like this kind of expressions when they ask for toys or something from to their parents. But demand is taken in a negative. It has a negative connotation, and it is when we talk about or speak about demand, it means that it is a negative way of asking. To demand is to ask in a forceful way or by authority. Now, this asking is not in a polite manner or intentionally emotional, forget about that. So, it is something done forcefully, like I demand, I ask you to do it by force or in a forceful way. For example, if the teacher demands silence in the room, it means she is asking for silence forcefully. Okay, she is not requesting you, or maybe your mother wants you to be quiet or silent during some time that she needs to focus, so she would demand for silence, she would ask for it forcefully. So that's demand. Let's finish these blanks. A dash is usually not the best way to achieve a desired goal. So if you want to achieve a desired goal, you should not ask for it by force, okay, or forcefully. So a demand is usually not the best way to achieve a desired goal. B is children often dash when asking parents for a special toy. Children, so what do they do? They often plead, they cry, they emotionally blackmail their parents. Okay, they make faces or expressions that look like they are begging for it. So it is plead. Next word is request. So I used it in a sentence. I requested the officer to let me out during curfew. So as I asked for a permission. Number 5 is study, scrutinize, and observe. We have three words and we have the same meaning, which is ways to look over. Okay, how do we look over things differently using different words? How do we denote the meaning ways to look over by different words? So when we talk about study, uh, we sorry, I start with observe first. Okay, so when we talk about when we talk about observe, it means that we, by the way, let me tell you, observe is a positive word and it's used to show the meaning to see or to watch or to notice, to make a remark or compliment about. Okay, sorry, not compliment, a comment about. So when you observe something, you just watch it or see it. Okay, you just watch it and see it. You see the nature, you observe, for example, the nature. Here you can see some kids sitting in this kind of place with their father and watching things, like maybe they're watching natural things like birds or animals around them. They are observing them. Okay, they are observing things in their surroundings. When we talk about study, it means to watch things. Sorry, when we talk about scrutinize, it means to examine things in detailed manner. Okay, to examine in detail, to check them, examine them in a very detailed way. Like this detective is doing. He is scrutinizing. Then the last word is study, which means to watch closely. Okay, it is considered, by the way, scrutinize is considered negative and study is considered neutral. It means to look and watch carefully or to read carefully about something or about someone's face. So, or to observe carefully. So, study is neutral. Let's now talk about on nature walks. We always dash the birds, small animals, insects. Now, it is not that we examine them in detail or if we study them. No, we just observe them. We just look at them. We just look around us. We just see them, watch them. Okay? So it is observed. Seeing an empty nest, we dash it to determine its former inhabitants. So we took a nest and we tried to study it. Okay, it's not scrutinizing again because it is in detail. To scrutinize is to read it in detailed manner. But here it is just study. We just check it. It's like checking out something. We checked it, we studied it, that who possibly lived here before. Um, so it is, we studied it to determine its former inhabitants. The number three is scrutinize. The detective scrutinized the clues he found. So when you scrutinize someone, you examine those clues, you examine those things. So he scrutinized. It took a long time to examine those clues that he found from a place, from a spot, or wherever, or from a crime spot, a place where a crime happened. So that's how we use scrutinize in context. And and that's it. Thank you so much for coming. Please do go back to the video, those who are not here, okay, to check and then solve it in your book. It's practice 25. I'm repeating. Thank you.